So we'll talk about that how we can set up Kubernetes locally. Now, as I said, right, that Kubernetes is something which needs the Docker definitely by default. If you don't have Docker installed in your machine, so Kubernetes will not basically gonna help you too much. So it's like that you cannot run the Kubernetes without Docker. The reason, because when we'll study later, right, we'll see that in Kubernetes we use the images while deployment, while running the application, we use them as the images, and those images comes via the Docker. So those are nothing, they are basically the Docker images. Now, when we say about Docker images or something, so that means that to have a Docker, we use Docker Desktop. Now, Docker Desktop is what? Docker Desktop is one of a tool with which also you can set up the Kubernetes. How? We'll see that while we'll talk about the installation session. However, if you see right now, if you have a Docker Desktop screen, right? So in your Docker Desktop screen, there is a one tab known as extension or a Kubernetes. And if you enable that, you can actually able to see the Docker, the Kubernetes running there, and it will install a single node cluster. So when I say single node cluster, means that all the components which Kubernetes hosts, all of them will be in that same one machine only. Then we talk about the other mechanism, that is Minikube. So Minikube is one of a way through which you can have a Kubernetes installed or running in your local machine by installing Minikube on your local machine. Either it is Windows or it is Mac, and you can install it in your local machine using the simple command lines like brew install Minikube, right? Or there are the components or the URLs available in the Google to download Minikube too, which we will again see later. Now, Minikube again gives you the single node cluster only. Likewise, you have a K3D as one of a utility that also help you to install Kubernetes locally. Now again, if it is a Mac, like if you are a Mac user or if you have a Linux, right, it is very easy to set up these Docker, Kubernetes or other tools of DevOps like Ansible or anything, because those are your single node Kubernetes cluster, and like it basically just set up everything in a very easy way because they are much compatible with these operating systems. However, if it is a Windows, so then in your settings you need to enable WSL. WSL is nothing, it is basically the Windows subsystem for Linux. It is known as Windows subsystem for Linux, and this is sometimes being asked in interview also, that have you ever tried to set up in Windows the Kubernetes, or have you ever tried to set up the Docker in Windows machine? Now, when you talk about those setup, right, when you talk about those things, so they ask you, right, okay, what is the configuration change you do at your OS level? So this WSL enablement is the configuration level, right? This is the something which we do at the OS level, because this stands for Windows subsystem for Linux, right? And which allows you to run the Linux related components or to run the Linux related things in your Windows machine in a very efficient manner. So this is again very good thing here. Now with this we'll see, right, that there are different commands. Like in Mac we use brew install kubectl. With PowerShell we can have a kubectl script running, right, and we can install like that PowerShell script.